Hi, welcome to Healthwatch. I'm Cindy Berry from Ledgelight Health District. The Surgeon General has warned that radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States, and January is Radon Action Month. So here to explore the topic is Katie Baldwin, who is the Supervisor for Regulated Facilities and Housing at Ledgelight Health District, and Christine Hahn from the Connecticut Department of Public Health, who is an epidemiologist and coordinator of the Lead, Radon, and Healthy Homes programs. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Very large titles.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being here. I'd like to start today by just exploring a little bit about what you do in public health. And Katie, maybe you'd like to go first.
Sure. At Ledgelight Health District, I'm the Supervisor of Regulated Facilities and Housing. So basically, I'm kind of in charge of all of the programs that we regulate. So food service inspections, daycares, lodging, cosmetology establishments, and a lot of complaints, which encompassed healthy housing and enforcement.
Mm-hmm. And that's a new position for you. Congratulations.
Semi-new, thank you.
And Christine, what do you do at DPH?
So I'm an epidemiologist for the Lead, Radon, and Healthy Homes program, specifically working now with radon. We're a staff of 2, so we're very busy fielding questions from residents. As you know, Radon Action Month is coming up, so we're very busy with that. So just excited to be here to talk to our residents about why it's important for them to test their home for radon.
All right. Thank you both for being here. Let's talk a little bit about radon, what it is, and how does it get into the air that we breathe, Christine?
So it is a gas. Radon starts out actually in rock form as uranium, and then it goes into radium. It's still in rock form at that point, and then it turns into a gas, which is radon. So as it breaks down, it turns into a gas, and then the gas decay product is actually what's hazardous to our health. So it's the alpha particles within the gas that can come into our lungs and cause lung cancer.
And where is it found in the United States?
It's found all over, so that's why it's really important for anyone in the state, regardless of where you live, to test their home. Your neighbor may not have a high level, you may have a high level, so you can't base it on really anything except for your own test results.
I see. And what kind of buildings would you find radon in?
We find it in homes, schools, daycare centers. I think Katie's going to talk about that a little bit later. But we at the health department are more focused on the home environment and schools.
And how big a problem is it here in Connecticut?
We don't like to talk about risk in terms of geography because anybody can have a high level. So whereas we do have a map on our website that says there is increased risk along the shoreline, but we find high levels in Litchfield, we find high levels up in stores, so that's why it's so important for everyone, regardless of where you live, to test.
And Katie, what has been your experience? Where do we find high radon levels, and where is it most important to detect it?
So typically, like Christine mentioned, along the shoreline is the region 1, which is the highest risk, where you find levels of 4 picocuries per liter or more. But again, it can be anywhere throughout the state, throughout the country. But typically, since it's a gas that's coming in through your foundation, it's going to be more concentrated in the basement, and it'll dilute as it rises. So when testing for radon, you typically want to test in your lowest livable space, which could be your basement if you plan on renovating your basement, or if you're going to spend 2 to 3 hours a day down in your basement, maybe if you have a workshop, or if not, you would want to test on your first floor.
So it seemed like our work environment, if we're there 8 hours in a building, or at home where we spend most of our time, would be the most important places to have tested. Can we talk a little bit about what the health effects of radon? Why is it such a big deal?
Sure. So with health effects, there's a few statistics that I want to point out. First, like you've mentioned, it's the second leading cause of lung cancer. That's a big deal. So it is actually the leading environmental cause of cancer overall. So of all the things that cause cancer in our environment, asbestos, etc., radon is the leading cause. And among that, lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer. And within that, 20% of all lung cancer cases are caused by radon. So I think that exemplifies just how big of a problem this really is.
And interesting that we really don't hear about it very
Right.
often, you know, as a public health issue. So the effects then are that it could lead to cancer, lung cancer in particular.
Correct.
Okay. And are there any risk groups that you know of? Are the elderly or children more at risk of getting cancer because of radon?
The risk with radon exposure is long-term exposure. So if you live in your home 20, 30 years, that's really when the risk starts. I get calls to the health department, you know, we've lived in our home for 2 years, I have, you know, a baby on the way, what's the risk? I'm really scared. Then we say, you know, you always want to test and you always want to mitigate, but our lung cancer risk is long-term exposure.
So I know that our house is sealed up pretty tight for the winter. We put plastic on the windows to kind of keep the heat in. Is the winter months a time when maybe more radon levels can be detected?
Absolutely. Because your house is closed up, there's nowhere for the gas to go. So it stays heavily concentrated within the home, which is also why we test during the winter months, specifically between November and April, when your house is more likely to be closed.
Okay, so let's talk also, I wanted to ask you a question when you were talking about your basement. What if you've had some kind of construction work or something and maybe you tested for radon and it was negative or low 10 years ago, but now you've had some construction. Should you retest?
It's recommended that you should retest. It can fluctuate depending on if you have performed renovations, if you've added new additions to your home. As houses settle, the foundation settles, more cracks open up to allow more radon in. So it would be wise to test again, whether it be your first floor level or your basement level.
And do you necessarily find higher radon levels in older buildings?
You can, but you may find it in any building really. But with the older buildings, again, there's more cracks in the foundation. They may have drafty windows. They don't have efficient windows. So the likelihood of finding more concentrated, greater levels in an older home can be more.
Yeah, we do get those questions at the state. You know, someone calls and says, I just built my house.
Right.
You know,
Why would
I have radon? And then they do. So the bottom line always is, if you haven't tested yet, test.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the testing of radon. How do you do that? Do you need a specialized contractor?
Sure.
I think people think of testing for radon and all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, how am I going to find the money to do that?
Right.
So Katie, maybe you can talk a little bit about who specializes in this and how it's done.
Sure. So testing for radon is actually very simple, very easy to do. Anyone can do it. So for example, this is one of the test kits that we have for testing radon, and this can be done by the homeowner. We will be offering free test kits in the month of January on a first-come, first-served basis, and they may look similar to this, or they may be a different type of test. There's a few out there, but they're all easily usable by the homeowner.
Okay.
So basically, this one, I always think it looks like a bag of microwave popcorn. You could take the actual kit out of the bag, and the nice thing is that it comes with easy instructions as well. If for some reason you're confused with the instructions, there's a really great video on the Department of Public Health website with step-by-step instructions on how to use the radon kits.
Okay.
So inside is the instructions, and then what you do is you remove the package from the plastic. Hopefully I can get it open. And it comes with a nice little hook because you want to hang it 3 to 6 feet off the floor, kind of at breathing level from a surface in your room. You don't want to hang it in a kitchen or a bathroom where you may have a ventilation fan. You want to hang it in a room where there's not as much draft. So the easiest, sorry about that. You want to fill out your name and address because we want to know what the property is that we're testing, and then we need contact information to send the results to. On one side, you do the date that you start and the time you start, and on the other side, you circle the date that the test ends and the time that it ends. You also fill in some other information about where you're testing, what's the general temperature, what's the temperature outside. Another important thing before testing is that you have your house closed up for a minimum of 12 hours. So we don't have any windows open or doors open before the test starts. Most of these tests are very quick and simple, about 72 hours to about a week. Once you hang the test, it just hangs and you can go on your normal daily business. You can come in and out, but you do not want to leave doors open or windows open for long periods of time.
So it sounds like you really want to capture, if there is a high level of radon, you really want to capture it without disturbing it.
Right.
And while we're talking about testing, I just want to bring up that many people are testing their homes during a real estate transaction. And they may call and say, well, I just bought my house. I had a test done when I bought the house. What we find is many real estate transactions happen in the summer months, and that's not when we want to test. We really want to test in the winter. So we do recommend that even if you tested your home during a real estate transaction, retest in the winter months because the levels may change. Plus, we do find that tests are tampered with during real estate transactions.
So maybe somebody finds it and they decide to move it.
Or open a window, or you never know. So that's why we always recommend testing in the winter, even if you had a test done during a real estate transaction.
Right.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, Katie, so hold that thought.
All right.
And then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about what to do with the test kit, how to get them this month. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
I'll be right back.
Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Oh, thank you. Did you see anyone's broccoli? You moved in? Thanks for helping us. No problem. You strawberries? You're welcome.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Healthwatch. We're talking today about Radon Action Month, which is in January, with Christine Hahn, epidemiologist at the Department of Public Health, and Katie Baldwin from Ledgelight Health District. Before we went to the break, you were talking a little bit about the test kits and how they work. So after somebody has their test kit, maybe kind of run through exactly what people would do.
Sure. So again, there's quite a few different types of kits you may receive, but this is just one example of one of them. So when you open this out of the package, there are instructions on how to fill out the package, how to set up the test, and how to run the test, and then finish the test. So you would want to make sure that you fill in all of your contact information so you can be contacted with your radon results when the test is over. You want to make sure you document the date and time that you start the test and the date and time that you end the test. And then the weather conditions in the room and outside. It's important that we only hang these in rooms with minimal drafts, so we don't want to hang it in the the bathroom or the kitchen, because you may have some exhaust fans. And then as soon as you fill out the information, you can begin your test. So before that, though, you do want to make sure that your house has been closed up for about 12 hours. We don't want any drafts and we want to get the most accurate reading that we can by having a closed-up condition.
So you also have that cute little black spongy thing.
Yes,
What is
so do not throw this away. You will have a couple things in your package. You can throw away this little packet, this white packet, but you want to save this sponge. So basically when you open the kit, it may look like you have to tear it, but there is an easy end to open over here. So when you open the kit, there is a little brown packet of carbon in there, and that's what's going to trap the radon. This is just going to help the airflow going into the kit. So basically just want to open the kit so that you can stick the sponge right in there and kind of have it level with the bottom of the kit. And then that's considered ready to be placed. So what I do is get some string or tape or something, tie it around the hook, and then again you want to hang this from the ceiling at about 6 feet breathable height. And once you hang it, you're done for 72 hours, or however long you need to, but no more than a week.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. So when, say, 72 hours are up, we're done. We come back, we can remove this sponge and discard it. And then we have a seal in here that we pull off, and we can seal up the kit. And then if you receive a kit from Ledgelight, we will give you an envelope that's addressed to the state, or I'm sorry, to the lab with a stamp already on it. So it's as easy as popping it into the mail.
And fill out when you stop the test.
Yes, I'm sorry, you want to fill out when you stop it. We also have a test kit ID number on here that would be wise to keep for your own records in case you want to go look on the website afterwards.
Great. So they're no cost, and so why don't we just talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing in the month of January?
Sure. So Ledgelight, we have partnered, and I believe a few other health departments have partnered with Department of Public Health, and we're going to be receiving about 50 free radon test kits, which will be offered on first-come, first-served basis. So if residents are interested, they can call Ledgelight Health District and request a radon kit. And then it'll be mailed to them, and they can start the kit and finish the kit and mail it in, and then we'll contact them with the results.
Great.
If they need help, they can call and request help, or again, the really amazing video on the Department of Public Health website with the step-by-step.
Yeah. And Christine, you said that this is part of a larger campaign that the Department of Public Health is doing. Why don't you explain that?
Sure. We have a media campaign going on for the month of January through the beginning of February. You're going to see our public service announcements on various stations on television. You'll also hopefully hear our radio ad, and we have social media advertisements. And we actually teamed up with 23 local health departments and distributed 1,700 free test kits.
Wow.
And like Katie said, they are available on a first-come, first-served basis. So call your local health department if you're interested. If you're not a part of Ledgelight, your health department may be participating, so just give them a call and see if they have test kits for you.
Okay. And you actually have a personal example of testing for radon.
I do. We actually have two in my family. So my grandparents have lived in their home since the 60s, and they finally just sold. They lived in Bristol, and they finally just sold, and within the whole real estate transaction process, the prospective buyer did want the radon test, so they conducted the test, and they found out they had high radon. And the buyer, would not buy unless my grandparents put in the mitigation system. So average cost of a system is about $1,200. It's no reason to break a real estate transaction. So my grandparents put the system in, and they sold the house, and that actually caused my parents to want to test, well, my influence as well, but
of course.
They've been
our
living.
Families are all healthier because of our work, for sure.
Absolutely, but they finally tested. They've been living in that house since 1989, so they finally tested, and they have high radon. So they're in the process of hiring a certified mitigation professional. We have a list of all certified mitigation professionals on our website. ct.gov/radon. You really don't want to just hire anyone. You want them to be a certified mitigator. So we have that list. So they're going through that process as well.
I think the tricky thing about radon is you don't smell it, you don't see it.
Exactly.
It's invisible, and so nobody can just walk into their home and say, oh, I have radon, or I don't have radon. I would know. Wouldn't I know if I had radon? But it's really a very difficult thing. It's not like a lot of other contaminants.
That's a great point, and that's why it's so important to test.
Katie, I have a question. I know that you kind of oversee housing and public health issues regarding housing. What if somebody has a landlord, for example, they're renting and they'd like to have a radon test? Is there a particular way that they would go about that?
Well, we would tell them to always first ask their landlord if they would do the test, and then we would assist the landlord in trying to find a test if we didn't have one available. But if they didn't get anywhere with their landlord, they could certainly contact us too, and we could figure out how to set up a test for them. If we do not have any of the free tests, there is the American Lung Association, who always has tests at a low cost. I think about $14.50 a test. They'll just mail it right to your house. You can also go to a local hardware store and pick up a test yourself for a small cost as well, and run the test yourself.
But they don't need landlord permission to do a test. They are more than, likely, or more than, whatever I'm trying to say, more than able to do their tests on their own time.
Right.
Yeah, they don't need permission.
Okay. Yep. And what about child care centers? Because that's, I think a lot of parents are very worried about the environment that they're sending their child to. Do they need to test for radon?
Yes, it's actually in the statutes in the Connecticut Public Health Code for daycare centers, that if the daycare is located in a basement level or a first level of a building, they're required to test.
Okay.
If the level is greater than 4, they are required to install a mitigation system using a mitigation professional from the Department of Public Health website with the mitigators.
Okay. So tell me, what does mitigation look like? You have high levels in your home or your business. You're saying it doesn't cost too much, but what is it? Is there construction involved in your home? What is it like?
Sure. There is. Usually, and Christine may be able to answer a little bit more of this, but usually you see a kind of a pipe system running from your basement foundation up through the house and out above the roof line. And there's a fan working as well that's pulling the air through the pipes and out of the house.
Excellent.
Okay. So it's really not to get rid of it, it's just to vent it so you're not breathing it.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. And should all homes be tested for radon?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. We also talked a little bit during the break about the levels of radon, and that there really is no good level of radon, but what we're looking for is a higher level of radon, one that affects our health. Is that correct?
Yes. So what we say in the guidance is anything 4 or greater, that's when you absolutely would want to contact a certified mitigator and mitigate. But there's also health guidance that says anything between 2 and 4, you want to think about retesting.
Oh, okay.
So if you have it between 2 and 4, consider retesting within a month. A point that Katie and I did discuss is the DPH does recommend retesting across the board. So averaging the test results of 2. So if you do a test, you get the free test kit. In January, do the test, and then again in February, test again, and then average the 2 results.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you both for being here today. I know that Katie, your job has changed a little bit. Can you maybe just share one thing that is rewarding about your job?
Sure. There's actually a lot that's rewarding about my job. I think it's always rewarding to be able to help a resident that is kind of at a loss. They don't know who to go to for maybe a mold issue, or their child has an elevated blood lead level, and they can't get any help. Usually they're providing information, guidance, interior measures, and so it's nice to be able to kind of see through a case of someone that needs the help, and then help them, and then everybody's happy.
And Christine, for you?
Well, for me, I spent the last almost 4 years working with childhood lead poisoning. So transitioning to radon has been interesting because I think when you work with children, there's a particular need and want to just help them. And so with childhood lead poisoning, our main goal was to prevent our babies from this long-term health impacts that are irreversible. Once you get lead poisoning, the health effects of lead poisoning stay with you into adulthood. So transitioning to radon, at first I honestly didn't know that it was the second leading cause of lung cancer. So when I did learn that, I was like, okay, this is serious. This is a mission and a goal that we can all work towards. So just getting the awareness out there, because like so many people, I didn't even know it caused lung cancer. So now working with that mission, it's been really rewarding.
So then people can call you, either one of you, I guess. If they have more information, Katie, they can give you a call. And if they're interested in a free radon test kit, they should call you soon.
Yes, very soon, so we can make sure we can provide them with a kit. And when they call the health department, they can just state why they're calling and ask for a radon kit, and we'll make sure that they talk to the correct person.
Okay, and when you get the results, do you keep the results as well as sharing it with the homeowner or the...
Yes, we will be keeping the results. It will be placed into their property record so that they can always access it
Great.
if they need to.
Great. Well, thank you both very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for tuning in today. Have a great day.